Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'm going to be talking about the first week of July. So I'm going to be covering July 1st through the 7th. And as you well know, in this series, what I like to do is I'm sitting right in front of my computer at my desk, and what I do is I go through each day in accordance to where the moon is, because each day that the moon moves, the moon is the public, the moon is the people, and where all the other planets are relative to the moon is so important. It really does tell us what's going on in the world at large and or in our personal lives. So each day changes. Now I love to know, and I go and I look at all of your comments, I love to know where you live. So let me know, because what I'm going to be doing is I am talking specifically about where the moon is Central Daylight Time. So that means Central Time, but we're on Daylight Savings Time. So please adjust your clocks to where you are. So I'm going to be talking about Central Time, and each day I'm going to give where the moon is and where all the planets are relative to the moon. This is going to tell us about world events. Yes, so much is happening this month of July. It's even like as eventful as June, if I could put it that way. So let me begin here. I'm going to be talking first of all about July 1st. So July 1st is a Tuesday, and the moon is in Virgo this day. So what's Virgo? Virgo's all about, well, we always think of Virgos as critical and nitpicky, right? So this is a time that people will be more scrutinizing, will be more critical in their own way. But looking at this moon is opposed Saturn. So this means that people are quite serious about things. This Saturn is a little different than most Saturns because it is exactly conjunct Neptune. So there might be during this time clouded opinions about things. And so this moon sits in Uttara Phalguni. Uttara Phalguni is actually, it's not a bad nakshatra. It's about friendship, coming together with people. So I actually love this nakshatra. So coming together with people, better understanding where they're coming from in terms of especially their scrutinizing, criticizing ways. Now, Mars and Ketu, they actually sit in the 12th house from the moon. So be aware that on this day with the critical minds, people may be talking behind your back. Now get aware of this, because Mars is with Ketu, and in the 12th house from the moon, it's like people are doing things behind the scenes that you don't know about. Not pleasant, especially in the workplace. If you're around the workplace and you're suspicious about people talking behind your back, yeah, they are, but what are you going to do? You're not going to change their minds. So just let them be them and you'll be okay. Now, Jupiter Sun is in the 10th house from the moon, which means this is a good day for business and work. Pressing on, getting things done, making sure things going on in the workplace are productive. And yes, it's a time for expansion and opportunity with work. And with the Venus is nearing Uranus, but right now it is in the 9th house from the moon. So this is a time of spiritual awakening, really getting into some of your spiritual studies. With the moon in a Mercury-ruled sign, this is good for studies. But be aware, with Saturn being opposed the moon, it's heavy. There's a lot of heavy energy going on during this time. So be aware that people may be more scrutinizing, and I don't like the way people are behaving behind the scenes and in the workplace. All right, so let's move forward to July 2nd This is a Wednesday. And on July 2nd, the moon is still in Virgo, which means minds are still really scrutinizing, but it's past. It's moved past the exact opposition of Saturn, but it's still, heaviness is in the air, in the emotions. We're feeling heavy. And relationships, that's another thing. May not be working out so well because the Saturn, Neptune are in the 7th house from the moon. The 7th house deals with relationships. Relationships are not as they could be. Be careful what you say. The Mars Ketu are still in the 12th house from the moon. People are still sneaky and doing things behind the scenes. And yeah, don't go to any dark places late at night, because this can deal with secret enemies, which could be thieves, which could be people that don't have your best intentions at heart. But the Jupiter moon, this is a good day for work. You can see things more clearly, you're more scrutinizing, you're more detailed. This is good for work matters. And Venus being in Taurus. Taurus is a great sign for Venus, and it makes us more philosophical and spiritual in the 9th house from the moon. But the moon is in the nakshatra Hasta. Hasta is the hand, and Hasta means to grasp and hold on to things. People that have a moon in Hasta are incredibly intelligent. So this is a great time to really explore and develop our mind. And here's another thing that's going on, actually the whole time the moon's in Virgo. So it had been yesterday and today. Mercury is in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. And the moon is in Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. Wow, we've got a parivartana today. And that means that the moon and Mercury become one. They exchange. And I'll tell you what this means. People are overthinking everything, overdoing things. It's like the mind is on overdrive today and the day before. This is like incredible time for analysis, but don't overthink things. When you come to a decision, stick with it. You're never going to be perfect. That's what's wrong with the moon in Virgo too. People want perfection. And what you got to discover is nothing's ever perfect, right? So that's what I'm seeing with this moon in Virgo and in the nakshatra of Hasta, grasping and holding on to ideas and concepts. All right, so let's go to Thursday. This is July 3rd. And on this day, around noontime Central Standard Time, the moon is still in Virgo, but it's in a very late degree. I have it around 27 degrees. Remember, there's only 30 degrees to a sign. So it's going to change signs today. And let me give you what time it does change. So the moon will change into Libra by 5 p.m. But before that, it is in Virgo still, Central Standard Time. Remember, this will change according to wherever your time, whatever time it is for you. But looking at this moon being 29 degrees is conjunct the most auspicious fixed star in the heavens. This is Spica. Spica means overnight sensations. It also deals with literary genius. So it deals with being creative and writing. And the moon all the way till 5 o'clock is still exchanging with Mercury. So this makes it a good time to get out and write, to do some cognitive development and work. This is deep, deep stuff. The moon will be in Chitra all day today. Chitra is the bright and shining one. Chitra is full of action and power. It is a bright one. I love Chitra. It's ruled by Mars, therefore there's a lot of action involved. But it deals with sort of like the bright jewel, the things that shine. And it can mean that you can shine today. But still, I'm looking at the Mars Ketu in the 12th house. People are sneaky behind the scenes. Mercury is in the 11th, which can be good for friendships and this connection to friends, having great conversation. The Jupiter Sun is still in the it's in the 10th house, which deals with work, career, and expansion in these areas. But that's Saturn, Neptune are 7th from the moon. But let's move it forward. At 5 p.m. Central Time, the moon will go into Libra. It'll still be in the nakshatra Chitra, which is the bright one. Now, the moon being in Libra is entirely different. You will see the energy change like crazy on July 3rd, which is a Thursday. And Thursdays are actually ruled by Jupiter. I like Thursdays. Jupiter's Sun will be in the 9th house from the moon, which means this is a time for spiritual thought, spiritual development, reading and expanding our mind philosophically, yes. And Venus, which is almost conjunct Uranus, it's in the 8th house. So this is deep psychological thought that we're going through. Remember, a lot of these predictions I'm giving are for you personally too. I'm talking about things that happen in the world as well, but think about it on a personal level for yourself. Now, Rahu and Ketu. Now the Mars Ketu go to the 11th house from the moon. And this will be this way for the next 2.5 days. But let me say, friends are difficult. It's not a good time to come together with friends and associates. And it's getting close to the weekend, so I am seeing that this can be a problem for parties, social events. Just realize your friends may not be as friendly as normal. There could be arguments, disagreements with friends. But Mercury is in the 10th house from the moon, so it's a good time to get some work done. Better than going to social events. Now, another thing that I see happening with this Saturn is Saturn goes to the 6th house. So you're going to find that it is a time to get healthy. Start looking at what you eat and how you work out. Because Neptune there can actually mean you're not paying attention to what you're eating or your health. And it can mean some kind of minor health stuff. Be aware there can be allergies or things like that going on with Neptune, Saturn, 6th house from the moon. So let me move this forward to Friday. This is July 4th. This is a big holiday in the United States. It's Independence Day. And I have noticed a lot of aspects besides what we're talking about with the moon. This can be a pretty hectic and maybe dangerous day. Let me tell you what this is all about. So the moon is in Libra the whole day, and it's actually in the nakshatra called Swati. Swati is a nakshatra that deals with communication. Its actually symbol is the blade of grass blowing in the wind, and it means whatever the wind blows is how conversation and people go. So they can be a little wishy-washy with conversation, but you can be in control of it. Actually, in India, Swati is looked at as the nakshatra for the epitome of a good businessman. So it's like dealings. You can really get people to sway your opinion. And looking at this, though, I'm going to note that Neptune turns retrograde today. That's a big deal. Neptune can deal with illusions, deceit, denials. And when a planet stations and turns retrograde, whatever it's about becomes very prominent in our lives. So be aware that there's a lot of deception, denial, a lot of nonsense on the internet, that people are not telling the truth. Use your scrutiny to figure out what you think. Don't believe everything you hear today or the next day, because we're going to see that the whole time, really right before Neptune goes retrograde and right after. So it's really this whole week. It's this whole week, but today is the day that it is retrograde. So it's intense. Mars Ketu in your 11th. Hey, any parties you go to Friday and Saturday are going to be a bust because people don't know how to communicate. People are righteous, and yeah, there's a lot going on this month. Let me just say, the closer Mars gets to Ketu, the more angry and violent people become. And that goes for global affairs too. And this is on the 4th of July. So be aware there can be some really crazy things like attacks and war and discord going on. Yes, this day. Now, with Jupiter in the 9th, with the Sun, they are both still in Ardra, I want to say. It's a dangerous time, but all at the same time, Jupiter Sun in the ninth house from the moon. This tells me that it's a good day for spiritual studies and philosophies and truth and fact finding. That's what I'll say. Venus is, well, it's conjunct Uranus, yes, today on July 4th. Really, it's for yesterday and today. But this is sudden, unexpected events. Imagine that on July 4th with with what's going on in the world. I mean to tell you, things are heating up. So, but this can mean some unexpected events, but all at the same time. Let me just say this. This can be meeting someone in a love and romance, very romantic way. Uranus is excitement. Venus is love. We got Venus in Taurus. It's a lovely time for looking at relationships, especially with the moon in Libra. So even though I said these parties, these social events, be careful of your friends, but when it comes to romance and marriage partners, look out. This could be around the time that you could meet someone with Venus exactly conjunct Uranus. But let me say this too. It's also difficult to travel most of this month. Uranus can rule airplanes. Venus being too close to it can cause some disruption. All right, let's look at the next day. Let's look at July 5th. July 5th is the moon is still in Libra, and it is in the nakshatra called Vishaka. Vishaka's symbol is a triumphal archway. So it deals with success. It deals with someone who really strives hard to acquire success. And I got to tell you, they will pretty much be successful. This is good. But we still have that Mars Ketu in the 11th house. Not good for friends and social events. But you know, I will say this. It is good for gains. These are two first-rate malefic planets. But in the 11th house, it's where you strive harder to achieve what you want. So I'll give it that, because the moon is in Vishaka. But the Jupiter Sun are in the 9th house, which actually deals with, let's just say, searching for the truth, searching for spirituality. And we've got that Saturn Neptune in the 6th house still from the moon. This can cause some kind of minor health problems, so be aware. Or it could be something you've been ignoring. You've got to pay attention and become realistic about your health and healing at this time. There can be some things that you're not recognizing or paying attention to. Okay. And once again, Mercury is in the 10th house from the moon. This is good for planning meetings and business. Business affairs will work out. All right, so now I am looking at Sunday, July 6th. And the moon has moved into Scorpio, will be in Scorpio all day pretty much. And it will be in the nakshatra called Anuradha. Anuradha deals with friendship, coming together with people and friends, connections. It's a good time for that. And healing. Now, this moon, we can see that Rahu, Ketu now Rahu goes to the 4th house and Ketu goes to the 10th house with Mars. Be careful around your boss. This is not a good time for you and your boss, because I could just say there can be some upsets in the workplace. Yes. Mars and Ketu are getting really close to each other. And remember, the closer they get, the more violence and anger and problems in the world there's going to be. And with this, though, Venus is in the 7th house. If you're looking for relationships, love, romance, this is the day I suggest to go out. The moon's opposed the Venus-Uranus, and they're in the 7th house of relationships, excitement, new people, attractions. That's what this day can be about. The Jupiter-Sun are in the 8th house. This could be a good day for developing deep-seated understanding, transformational change through some kind of psychological work, analysis on yourself. It's deep stuff. It can also be a good day for money. Jupiter and Sun in the 8th house. Money will come through other people on this day. Now, so I'm looking at Mercury's in the 9th house. You know, normally I would say it's a good time to travel, but I just can't say none of this month is that great for travel. But if you have to get away, maybe you can make it today, but still you might have to come back on a really difficult day, because it's getting heated up big time in this world. So, all right. Saturn is in the 5th house from the moon. It's a time for serious thought. Yeah, things are difficult. Things are, if you have children, pay attention to them. They are wanting your attention today, as well as the next 2 days. Now I'm looking at July 7th. This is a Monday, and the moon is still in Scorpio. But now it's going to be in the last part of Scorpio, and it's moved to the nakshatra Jyeshta. Jyeshta is a tough nakshatra. It is. It deals a lot with jealousies. It really does. And usually those jealousies are directed towards you. Be aware. Now, with this moon, we still have the Uranus-Venus in the 7th house. So it could be jealous partners and things to that effect. The Mars Ketu are nearing, I gotta say, anger's in the air. War and violence are in the air. Things are really heating up. This next week, get ready. It's getting too close. There's fire happening, fiery things happening. The Jupiter, Sun are in the 8th. This is time for deep, deep introspection, looking at, you know, what you want out of your life in this world, and also global deep introspection. This is a crazy time in the world. Let me just say that. Now, Saturn in the 5th, your creativity isn't as strong as you would like for it to be. You're a little confused. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion in the air. Rahu in the 4th house, there can be just a lot of dysfunction going on in the home, especially around your mother. Yes, because Mars is actually aspecting it too. So if your mom's still alive, you know, she could be a problem. and or maybe she has a problem. So pay attention to that. Now let's move. And one last thing, while the moon is in the last part of Scorpio, it gets really intense because it's debilitated and it's in the tail of the scorpion. So be aware, people can be very cutting and not very nice during this time. All right, so that concludes the first week of July. We've got a lot to think about. And the next week, get ready. Things are getting, well, what am I going to say? This whole week, this past week, things were really intense. As a matter of fact, going back to July 5th, that could be the time of some earthquakes and tsunamis. So be aware that this whole month, things are topsy-turvy. Keep your seatbelt on. It's going to be a wild ride. Thank you for listening to the first week of July. And like I always say, go to my website, see all the things I'm offering. The Galactic Planner, free newsletter. My university starts in August. And last but not least, my Patreon. Become part of my community and we can talk every day. Go to galacticcenter.org. Thank you.